Hello and welcome to The Print. Our guests today are two authors, and one of them has been making India read about its past like no other. We welcome Amish and Bhavna Roy, who are out there with their new book, Idols Unearthing the Power of Murti Puja. Welcome, Amish.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Bhavna. Welcome to
Thank
The
you.
Print. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking out from your busy schedule.
Pleasure.
Amish, I was I would not say I went through this book completely like in out. I did not have the time, but I did skim through it, and I came across a few things. The first thing that I want to know is why do you need? Why did you feel it was time to talk about something like this? And uh, in 2023, you do mention an anecdote actually, where you sort of it seems that you were triggered by that incident and you in a way also said that this book is a response for that. But I'm sure like our viewers would like to know more about it.
Look, much of the ancient world was actually idol worshipping. Most of the ancient world, and most of those cultures were massacred out of existence. That's a historical reality. The Greco-Roman pagans, the Celts, the Pharaonic Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, the Central Americans, all of them. They were all the Great Zimbabwe, the African culture. These were all idol worshipping, nature worshipping, goddess worshipping, ancient cultures. And there was a tide of history over the last 2000 years where many of these cultures were essentially were wiped out. India is actually among the last surviving of those ancient cultures. Japan is another. China, to some extent, China has also suffered greatly, particularly during the Cultural Revolution and the Marxist stamping out of all the old ways. And we think that it's worth exploring our ancient culture and how it makes us intuitively liberal. Because, as I mentioned of these massacres, idol rejecting cultures went around the world killing millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. They themselves recorded it very proudly in their own texts. Primarily Europeans and Turks, European Christians, Turkic Muslims. But you find almost no case study of the reverse.
Right.
The idol rejecting cultures went around killing people simply because they were worshipping idols. No other crime as such.
Right. As you
Right?
mentioned.
Worshipping the wrong god.
Right. Right.
Whereas almost no case study of the reverse anywhere in the world. So it's worth exploring why are idol worshipping cultures intuitively liberal. And many of us Indians, our heart, because of our rich ancient tradition,
Right.
our heart automatically goes towards it. And it's not just Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Sikhs, and I would include Indian Islam, Indian Christianity also in it. They are fundamentally different. What is Dargah worship at the end of the day? And this, I think, we think is at the heart of the intuitive liberalism of the Indian way.
And you think you'll find
And it
success
must be-
doing it because you already have a body of work which spans over a decade, and which you are a master of your art, and
thank you.
you're touching a realm that you have succeeded in. And so, do you think your readers would take it? Would they take it with a pinch of salt, or do you think they'll sort of take it with a sense of authority that here is someone who has already talked about
No.
these things and now he's
No, we are no one to be speaking with authority, and that's not our approach. Our approach is to present a point of view and get readers to explore it. And the feedback we've received, the book was has been launched just recently. It's already doing very well. Lord Shiva's grace. But even the feedback that we are getting when we speak to readers, the feedback that we get on our social media posts, because there are many, for example, among the youth who and so many of them have told us that their heart feels like doing it,
right.
but their mind would say, "Yaar, ye stupid hai kya?" Because if everyone has been telling you idol worshipping is wrong, maybe it would be wrong, right? But now they suddenly get a logical reason for why we do it as well, and I think that appeals to them.
Well,
That's what is the privilege.
well, I
that
would
we
say
have from this book.
the first person maybe while in the process of writing who would have been convinced by your thought. I don't know who originated the idea to write this book. It was co-authored between the two of you. So Bhavna, I want to know from you what is it that you think uh, that you when you co-wrote the book with Amish, what is it uh, that you both of you brought in together into this work? Uh, uh, and vis-a-vis if Amish would have himself written it on his own, or you would have gone your own path to tell this story. What is it you think makes it unique when both of you write together?
That's a good question, Anurag. I have three brothers. He's the youngest. I'm the oldest. He has a twin called Ashish, and then my third brother is 2 years younger than me, Anish. Amish and I have, in the arena of work, a beautiful chemistry. We complement each other, in a bit of a yin-yang manner, in a Prakriti Purush fashion. What do I mean by that? I'm a person of ideas. Philosophy has been my passion for over half my adult life. Reading has been our family passion from the moment we were born. In fact, my mother often says, that my daughter was born holding a book in her hands. Coming back to the idea thing, I can, it animates me so much, the world of ideas and philosophy, that I can spill all over the place and speedily become difficult to fathom even for myself, leave alone others. Right. Amish brings in the structure and the discipline, the yang aspect of our partnership. In the creative field, I do feel it's either impossible to work together or it is an absolute flow because you find that chemistry with your partner.
But there is also involved some sort of a sibling rivalry here.
So if
was that something that both of you encountered, or maybe was it some sort of a hurdle that you thought that maybe when both of us come together, there'll be his biases, my biases, because maybe even siblings are different in their own. So that ways.
True. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you because of two other reasons. The first is, of course, our chemistry, our passion, our masculine aspect and feminine aspect of working together. The second reason is, the age gap. I'm 8 years older. So I'm barely just about a sibling. I'm in fact, Choti Ma. I'm his second mom. We come from a traditional, very paramparic background, happy to be so. And we are quite comfortable with the hierarchy. So there's a great deal of respect in this direction. There's a lot of respect in the other direction as well, because for crying out loud, this is Amish. What he doesn't understand about book writing is not worth knowing. So in that aspect, when we work professionally together, right, there's a great deal of respect that I have for Amish and his craft. Right. As for the last word, I love to say this, that it always has been, it always will be, and it always should be his.
That's great of you. I want to know because now you're in a sense. I would not know if shadow is the right word to say. If you have been a shadow to Amish, but you have closely seen his work even before even the first word went in print. And now you also see the kind of reactions coming on from all over the world about his craft, about his literature. Have there been, and there is a large body of work he already has now, if I'm not mistaken, 10 or 11 books now. For you to see through what he thinks and how he thinks, have there ever been something that for you it sort of stood out, that maybe this could have been like this, or this could have been approached like that? Maybe there could be some thematic difference in approach towards what he does and how he does. Do you feel that?
Sorry, but before you answer, if I may answer that shadow thing, both Bhavna Didi and Anish Dada, they are elders, so they're not like shadows, they're like shades to me. They protect me, they guide me, and as we said in our family, we are traditional, and we are very liberal also, but in the traditional way. The traditional Indian way, actually, the more traditional you are, the more liberal you will be. So, and we are very comfortable with hierarchy. They are elder to me, and they are more shades and guides to me rather than shadow. Both Bhavna Di and Anishta and Ashish and I, my twin brother and I, we are obviously that much younger, so it works that way. Sorry, go ahead.
And as for the penumbra bit, I revel, in
because you also
in his
approach
light,
it as a professional.
in his light. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a separation thing. We're soulmates. It's a very Western, thing to call only your romantic partner your soulmate. Siblings can be soulmates.
Yeah, all four of us are.
Friends can be soulmates. A parent and a child can be soulmates. A soulmate is about two human beings finding chemistry in some or the other aspect of their lives together. In which case the penumbra bit becomes completely specious. As for, in all honesty, can you think of a single time when we disagreed on an idea and we could not come to
we have debates, and it's the way
Yes.
our family is. All four of us siblings, and we lost our father recently, but even when the parents are around, we all debate a lot, we read a lot. We are that typical Indian argumentative family, but they're debates, they never fights. And
So there is a
in fact,
democracy
even
that's alive
when
in
we
your
were
family.
If I may, yeah.
no, and even when we were growing up, like one of the key rules that Ma always enforced, we are not allowed to fight with each other. I know it sounds bizarre, but Ma used to enforce it. If we actually start fighting with each other, we had to stand next to each other, kiss each other on the cheeks, counting up to 100. Okay, I swear, and we'd start laughing by the time we are 45, 50.
And
Trust me, one of the things she told us, which was so wise, life will have its ups and downs. If you have your family with you, you can handle anything. And we passed through a difficult personal phase. Fate was unfair to our entire family. We suffered a great deal repeatedly over 7-8 years. The reason why all of us are still strong and stable, we suffered what we had to suffer, but we are still strong and stable because the four of us are very close. All four of us siblings.
if I might add a final bit, to this, our grandfather Pandit Babulal Tripathi was a great scholar of Sanskrit and mathematics. Actually, he taught math and physics in the Banaras Hindu University, and he taught all his grandchildren the rules of debate. And we were so fortunate to have, availed of that learning, which were very different from the way debates are conducted today in all forms of not only media but even drawing rooms and bedrooms, which was essentially non-oppositional, and it actually harked back to our ancient way of debate. Baba used to teach us about the concept of Purva Paksh and Uttar Paksh, and he made us practice as children. The idea being, if we are debating and you say something to me, when it's time for me to reply, I first will repeat what you have said, and both of us will arrive at a consensus as to, have I really understood what you meant?
Right.
Or am I misunderstanding? And till we both come to an agreement that I have received the message that he was trying to give me, I cannot reply. And if that fashion of debate is once again rediscovered, I think the art of debate will be reignited.
Maybe a topic for your next book.
Absolutely.
Amish, coming back to this one, I just read a few pages of this book, and you say it, and I quote you, for idol worshippers, it has always been a defensive war against idol worshipping communities. Uh, for those who worship and those who are against it, why do you think it's the way it is? And you have written a book. How do you think this can be tackled in today's world?
Look, when something is given doctrinal sanction, then obviously it carries on for centuries and centuries, and at a scale that is unimaginable. And as I said earlier, largely two groups, European Christians and Turkic Muslims. One must acknowledge that you can't say all Muslims, because Indonesian Muslims didn't do something like this. African Christians didn't do something like this. But across the world, it's not just millions of people, entire civilizations were wiped out. Simply for the crime of worshipping the wrong god, or even worse, worshipping a goddess, because that is apparently the worst crime that can be done. And it's instructive to look at why this happened, and how these doctrinal sanctions emerge. So it's from the Abrahamic religions, and the oldest of Didi, if you wanna speak on this, or should I?
I'm happy to interject and just give this part, and maybe then you.
Yeah, sure.
You can observe the chemistry dynamically.
All good for our viewers.
So, the oldest child of, the Abrahamic way of life is, of course, Judaism. And the first 5 books of the Old Testament, of the Bible, is actually the holy text of Judaism. It's called the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. In these 5 books, which is the Torah of the Judaic faith, especially in the books of Deuteronomy and Exodus, it has been explicitly written that idol worshipping is evil. It is devil worshipping, and it must be removed from the face of the earth. The eldest, which was Judaism, did not believe in conversion, because they believed in the concept of the chosen people. God chose them, and they're the good guys. Everyone else, they're the bad guys. The younger 2 siblings, in their religious texts, the middle one, Christianity, and of course the youngest, Islam, this doctrinal precept was inherited. So of course the first 5 books of became the first 5 books of the Old Testament of the Bible in Christianity, and it was also edicted in the Islamic religious text. When it gets doctrinal sanction, it becomes the good thing to do, to wipe off idol worshipping from the face of the earth is the good thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. It acquires a moral halo.
That was the point that was made at that time.
And thereby, the idol worshipping, the entire planet was idol worshipping before the advent of the Abrahamic faiths. And thereby the idol worshipping faiths were either completely destroyed, wherein the practitioners were massacred, or they were reformatted, they were overwritten, and the inheritors, the descendants of those great cultures turned their backs on their ancestral way of life.
Right.
This was the sanction that was given, and then it was implemented and carried out by these groups. Central America, Native Americans, they were all wiped out. Most of the African native cultures are all wiped out.
Right.
The Middle Eastern, Greco-Roman, most of the European pagan cultures all wiped out. The king who did much of the wiping out was actually Charlemagne, and he was particularly violent. Catherine Nixie's Destruction of the Classical World, Christian Destruction of the Classical World, is a very sad book to read, where she speaks of what happened over, from the 3rd, 4th century onwards, what happened in Egypt, what happened to Hypatia,
Right.
Because women scientists were evil apparently. So a great pagan scientist from Egypt, who had actually, she was one of the few people in the Mediterranean world to discover that the orbit of the Earth around the Sun was not circular but elliptical. She was right. She was dragged through the streets, stripped naked, and stoned to death. A great scientist, just because she was a woman.
Right, Amish, you go back.
This
to
is
history.
really sad.
Yeah.
What happened, and we must. And we are never. I don't believe in this concept of historical guilt and community guilt. Those are very dangerous concepts. So I'm not saying today's people have to answer for what happened, but we must speak of this calmly so that we can analyze what went wrong.
Right.
So that those things don't get repeated. And if India doesn't do it, if we are among the last surviving idol worshipping cultures, if we don't do it, then who will?
Right. Amish, you have written books, and you love history, philosophy, and that whole ecosystem. This is, I think, a lot of your readers would want to know, or maybe the new ones, prospective readers, when will Amish touch other flavors?
So there is an idea. I was in London for more than 4 years. I worked in the High Commission out there. I was Minister of Culture and Education at the High Commission there, Director of the Nehru Center.
We all know that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I hope you guys know it too. So I have got an idea for a book series out there which is set in the modern day.
Okay.
Which is based over London and Mumbai and some other cities in India. And that has elements of gaming, of time travel, of
that's all
very different.
That's all what our viewers will get to know right now at this stage.
Nothing more. Because I need to finish the 5th book of the Ramchandra series, then I'll start writing this.
Okay.
And the main aim of this book is this new book series is to impress my son Neil.
Okay.
Because he is 14 years old, and much to my chagrin, I am not his favorite author. He keeps telling me I'm a very close number 2.
Okay.
Because I don't have in my books, he doesn't find the fantasy elements which he likes.
That's a tough ask. And a tough job.
Listen, I don't. Others may or may not read me, but for my son, I have to be the favorite author.
So
So I'm going to write this
number 2
to impress him.
Is going to be and has to be done. So Amish, how is it going? Your journey as the diplomat. You know that you're now part of something that was started decades ago, and the projection of India's soft power. How is Amish adding his flavor to it, and how is he seeing things? Is he doing some things differently out there, which were being done earlier, or is he just maintaining the status quo?
Look, I think it's a great time for Indian culture internationally. Soft power usually follows hard power. It's very difficult to keep soft power going if you don't have hard power. And there are enough and more examples of countries on this. Being diplomatic, I will not name those countries. But India's economic growth over the last 30 years, post 1991, a little over 30 years, has been dramatic. I think in human history, only China has done better, raising so many people out of poverty.
And does that put some kind of a pressure on?
No, what it does, it gives
sort of up the game in even the soft power.
In fact, it's I won't say it's pressure. It's not headwinds. They're actually tailwinds, because India suddenly has so much more influence. So people are interested in our culture. The Yoga Day, for example, is a massive international event. People are exploring even natural Ayurvedic techniques. Of course, Western pharma companies, being the way they are, try and patent our own stuff. I remember one article in a science journal saying it's not. They essentially showed pranayam, and they said there's a new technique they discovered called cardiac coherence breathing. साले बदतमीजी की हद होती है. We are not asking for money, but please don't plagiarize. Acknowledge the source, right? But as we
things
grow,
like them have to be countered.
as we grow more and more, no, we just have to talk a lot more. That's the tailwind that we have. And London is a deeply influential city in Western culture. The way Western culture works is that the Anglophone culture impacts most of the Western culture, and the Western culture ends up impacting most of the entire world, right? There's this cascade, and the Anglophone culture, the English-speaking culture, is primarily driven by 5 cities: London, New York, Washington DC, LA, San Francisco. You can have the best play in the world in Mumbai; it will not impact the world. But one play in New York can impact how the entire world thinks about the American Revolution. Hamilton. It's not just the Hamilton play; it's a cultural power of New York City.
And
culture works
How
that
is
way.
India doing that? Because you mentioned China, and
Just started. China, to be fair, has began its journey in 1979. Before us. They gave up the socialism does end up destroying economies. We did many right things post 1947, don't get me wrong, but our economic policies were not wise. It's only post 1991 that we started that we truly started growing economically, and that is the heart of global power. But that was the benefit of being in London at this time. It's an exciting time to be speaking of Indian culture, but we have to present it in a way that our soul is Indian. We are talking about Indian culture, but present it in a way that a Western or a Westernized mind can also understand it. I guess the government must have been happy with my work, because I got an extension, and the normal tenure was 3 years. I served more than 4 years. In fact, I've been told I'm probably among the longest serving directors of the Nehru Center. But now I'm happy to be back.
Great.
In India.
Amish, between being in that role as an ambassador, then being at Nehru Center, and primarily writing, you have also been doing other stuff. We have seen your screen debut. We also know that you are entering film production.
I should clarify, I didn't act, I just hosted documentaries.
But you hosted documentaries.
I'm not an actor.
And I got to know about this from this book only. It's something Immortal Writers Center. What are all these ventures? What's happening in these spaces? One by one.
So on documentaries, I've hosted 2 documentaries till now. One was Legends of the Ramayana, which is the Ram Vangaman Path, Lord Ram's journey from Ayodhya to Lanka. That was on Discovery TV, and again, God's grace, it did very well on that channel. So I did another program that was kind of an ensemble cast of hosts, if you will, of the journey of India. So Amitabh Bachchan, legend, he hosted, he was the common host for a few episodes, and they had different specific hosts for different subjects. So I think Vikas Khanna did the one for food, I did the one for spirituality. I think Kajol did Kajol did the one for entertainment, and Rana Daggubati, both of them, the one for entertainment. So they had various different lists. So I did that. Right now we are actually producing our own documentary on the Ram Janmabhoomi temple, which we hope to bring out by January. So this is on the documentary space. Yes, working on movies as well, based off my books. And Immortal Writers Center is to work on book ideas, which I may not have the capacity to write. So one book from that was already released, which was Suhel Dev, Legend of Suhel Dev, the story of a king, a fictionalized retelling of an actual true story.
Came out in 2020.
A king who lived 1,000 years ago and beat back Turkic invaders, forged an army of Hindus of all castes, of Indian Muslims, of Indian Buddhists, and beat back the Ghazni army.
So Amish is expanding.
Yeah, bit too much. That is a rude thing to say.
We all know which universe we are talking about. Well, with that, we come to the end of this enthralling interview with both Bhavna and Amish. Thank you,
Nice,
thank you for and
Thank
coming
you.
to the print and all the best.
Thank you.
both.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.